I think Shomari Figures has a real chance. I think people have taken a look at Shomari with the way that he's conducted himself in office. I think the work that he's put in, I think he may actually have a shot to keep that seat. And I think they look at him a little bit like Terry Sewell, where people say, look, I know that this guy's a Democrat and everything, but he's the guy who visited me. He's the young guy, the fresh guy, the guy that's trying and wants to do some stuff. And obviously the deck is stacked against him. It's an uphill climb, just the same as it is for most of the Democrats. I mean, no matter what you say about Doug Jones or Philip Ensler or Ron Sparks, it's all stacked against them. All right, they are they're big underdogs.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but I think Shomari has got a chance in that district. Alrighty, welcome in. It is your favorite political podcast. It is Alabama Politics This Week. Josh Moon and
David Person.
How are you, Dave?
Feeling good, man. Another day on the planet on the right side,
That's right.
6 feet above ground instead of 6 feet underground. So I'm good.
That's right. There you go. You go. You can't beat that. It's it looks like it's going to be a pretty decent day out there. We got the rain out here after yesterday. My Lord, did it rain yesterday. Good Lord, it rained all the time. Yeah, the power went out, knocked out my pool pump. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't experience that on my side of town, but the rain was pretty ferocious, and of course, we had to worry about tornado warnings, for a minute there, but thankfully that passed on.
Yeah.
Always worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I live with a very nervous person in those storms. My wife is not very. It does not take them very well. She was in a tornado when she was in college. Hit her dorm in college, and so she gets a little freaked out by those. Got a nice storm shelter in the garage as evidence of of how much of a freak out she can have. Gives her a great amount of comfort, and so happy to put that in. But it's hopefully the rest of the week is a bit better for everybody, and get the sun out, get that heat back up into the mid to upper 90s, get some of that humidity going. So we can get to living life right.
Of summer.
That's right. Hey, before we get into things here, I need to tell you about our friends over at Wind Creek Entertainment. They sponsor this. It is the Alabama Politics This Week podcast brought to you by Wind Creek Entertainment, and we really appreciate them for what they do and what they do for the state as well. And they operate 3 fantastic casino resorts in this state at Atmore, with Tumpka and Montgomery. Go and check them out if you can. And I'm telling you, you will not regret going and seeing them. It is a top-notch level. It is customer service like you would never believe, and it exists in this state. It feels honestly like you're at a Vegas type resort somewhere, and that's what they kind of modeled it after. That's what they strive for. They pay their employees well. They don't have a lot of turnover. They get good, competent people, and they run a tight ship. And it is well worth your time and experience. You head down to the beach, break up those trips by staying in with Tumpka and Atmore somewhere. Going over to Montgomery and visiting, that is a great place over there with my wife, as I've mentioned now twice in here, used to hold events. They were so great with the nonprofit stuff that they did, working with her. It was really, really great. So anyways, check them out. Wind Creek Entertainment online. Book a room, book a stay, go take the kids, take the family, go down and have a good time. You will not regret it. No, and if you're like into the water parks, I'm telling you, OWA down there by the beach, can't beat it. Cannot beat it. No. Especially on a rainy day. They got the indoor pools and stuff over there. Yeah. Your indoor water slides. It's a whole deal. I'm telling you, we had a ball. All right.
Nice.
So we are, and I fear this is what's going to consume our lives for the foreseeable future. And that is one Thomas Hawley Tuberville, and how he basically dominates the news at this point. And because he is dominating the news now, there has been some significant movement in the lawsuit against his candidacy, the challenge to claiming he does not meet the residency requirements that was filed last week. in that they have filed a motion to dismiss and a motion to stay discovery. Two motions to dismiss and one motion to stay discovery, which basically means halt discovery until, some certain point. And they are claiming that the quo warranto, and I have no idea if that's the way you're supposed to say that or not. But
we'll ask Barry when he comes on.
Yeah. We'll get Barry to say it, and what we'll do is we'll just record him saying it, and then whenever I say it, Chip can sub that in. And so it's a it's a mess. And so they're asking him they're basically saying, look, the courts have held that that judges and folks do not get involved in in election issues, is what they're claiming. And I guess that's somewhat true. That the courts are very hesitant to get involved in those things. And I, and we'll get more into the weeds with this with Barry, I guess. But I guess my thing that I just wanted to say, I don't know how you can have the laws and then have no formal mechanism for enforcing the laws or making sure that people adhere to them. And so that there has to be a recourse somewhere for them. And I know what they say in the lawsuit. Well, they say, well, look, you got recourses. You can do a challenge with the party. They could challenge him before he was nominated, was officially nominated at the party. And after he's elected, should he be elected, should the people choose him, and you think he doesn't meet it, there is a post-election challenge that goes before the legislature. And so he should be put to the test at that point. Well, I don't, that again, that takes it out of the legal system. It takes it out of the courts. I mean, surely, I just, maybe I'm wrong. And we, like I said, we'll ask Barry, we can ask some other people, but it just seems like there has to be a mechanism in the legal system for, if you say, because let's say, forget this thing about whether or not he had a house and all that. Let's say there's a guy running for county commission, right? And he uses a fake name and gets himself nominated and on the ballot, and you find out later he used the fake name because he's a felon in another state, right? And he's ineligible to run for office because he's a felon in another state. You're saying that there's no legal recourse, that we gotta wait until he's elected and then challenge it? That's what we gotta do?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's crazy on his face. But I'll tell you something else that's very problematic with their argument. Neither the party nor the legislature can be seen as objective arbiters. Both of those entities have an embedded bias due to their party affiliation. I mean, the party wants to win elections. So, of course, they're going to be inclined to champion the candidate that they think can best win elections and that best meets the party's agenda. So that's the party's motivation for having Tuberville still in it. And we also know that the party has the ability to shape and control the hearings that are supposed to adjudicate this. And we saw what happened there. There were some things that were not allowed that should have been allowed, so forth and so on. So toss that in the trash. This whole idea of the legislature being, an appropriate venue to adjudicate this, the problem there is the Republicans have a supermajority. Again, they have a vested interest in ensuring that if Tuberville were elected, to ensure that he keeps that, that he keeps that electoral victory. They don't have any incentive at all to hold him accountable to objective rules about whether or not he's a resident or not. So that whole line of thinking is flawed.
I agree. I mean, I put more stock into the legislature part of it because we went through this in the David Cole saga. When he was going through his ordeal, and that was going to be his ultimate end, was that he was going to have to. It was a post-election challenge filed by another opponent, another candidate in that race, and the post-election challenge went through that. The court managed it, but it was ultimately going to hand it off to. Actually, I think it did actually hand it off to the the legislature. And the
Mm-hmm.
clerk in the House is supposed to set up a file and have all the evidence and stuff, and then they call a joint session of the legislature and they hear the case. And you're right, it gets into partisanships and things like that. But I understand under the law that's one of our remedies to do that. It just seems to me that there has to be a remedy somewhere along the way. If this thing says, in order to be qualified to run for governor, you must live here 7 years, the prior 7 years. Well, there's got to be some way to enforce that,
Yeah. Let's go back to David Cole for a minute, though.
Okay.
They were highly incentivized, I think, to make sure that he did not get that seat for a couple of reasons. One, his case was extremely indisputable. I mean, you and your reporting and other people that reported on it made, I think, that crystal clear. I mean, there was no nuance, no murkiness, I mean, it was just sort of an in-your-face, kind of a dunderheaded kind of move on his part.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, that was one seat in a body that had an established legislative advantage.
Well, yeah,
so
but
they
I'll say
weren't
this,
going to
David,
really
they still
lose
didn't.
anything.
They still
weren't
didn't
going to
do
lose
anything
with him out there.
Yeah, but they weren't going to do anything. That matter of fact, they were trying to protect him. They were trying to pass a law while this was going on. They tried to slide language into a bill. Chris Sprinkle did this. That he tried to slide language into a bill that would have made it illegal to challenge a person after he has been certified.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, and that's cool. But what I'm saying is, I think they had much more of a reason to let that play out, and to roll the dice on that, let it play out however it played out. They knew that ultimately they were going to lose one seat potentially, or not, maybe not lose it, But he was going to be a stain, and I think really, better metaphor might be an albatross around their neck, for his entire term, because what you guys had proven was indisputable. So, I mean, it was really in their best interest that he be out of there, in my mind.
Oh, well, it was, but I mean, they fought like hell to keep him in there. They really did. They really fought like hell to keep him in there, and hired Al Agricola to represent him, and they run everything up to the Supreme Court that they could. Stretched it out for more than a year, and finally, what ultimately got him was not them. It was the AG's office busting him for voter fraud because he admitted that he was, he had lived in a different house, than the one he had claimed, and he'd never moved, and so it was just a mess all the way around, man. It really was, and look, we're gonna get into that a whole lot more, with Barry, and kind of get Barry Ragsdale, who's the attorney representing the two plaintiffs, the two military veterans who have filed suit against Tommy Tuberville, and so we're going to get into that a lot more, into those weeds, I guess. Than we are right now. But yeah, it just, we're still stuck in this thing where Tuberville is kind of dominating all news cycles, and there's really not much going on. And I mean, right now, matter of fact, the only other thing that's going on that we even could think about was the fact that, in Shomari Figures district, that second congressional district down there, he's been moved a little bit closer to people thinking he might have a chance. Given the current national climate and what's going on. I think I'm going to say this, I think Shomari Figures has a real chance. I think people have taken a look at Shomari with the way that he's conducted himself in office. I think the work that he's put in, I think he may actually have a shot to keep that seat. And I think they look at him a little bit like Terry Sewell, where people say, look, I know that, this guy's a Democrat and everything, but he's the guy who visited me, he's the young guy, the fresh guy, the guy that's trying and wants to do some stuff. And obviously the deck is stacked against him. It's an uphill climb, just the same as it is for most of the Democrats. I mean, no matter what you say about Doug Jones or Philip Ensler or Ron Sparks, it's all stacked against them. All right. They are they're big underdogs. you know.
Uphill.
So, but I think Shomari has got a chance in that district.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think he presents well. He's done a good job of representing that area as far as I can tell. And I think you're right. I think he's going to be competitive. Now, will he win? I don't know, but I think he's going to be competitive. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to lose.
Right. No, I think he's he's got a real shot if he gets out there and works it and has some things break his way. I think he's got a real chance. I'll tell you what. Look, we got two guests today. We got the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed, coming in. Is always a great guest. I always have a lot of fun with him. And answer some real good questions. And he takes a lot of crap from people. And I think this is a good outlet for him to kind of explain some things where he doesn't necessarily have an opportunity to do so in other places. And so I don't mind at all giving him that platform to answer the questions that a lot of people are asking and do so in a more thorough fashion where he can explain himself, so it's not just sound bites and headlines. And so we're going to have him on, and then after him we're going to have Barry Ragsdale in to talk about the lawsuit that faces Tommy Tuberville. And there's some big things happening this Thursday with a hearing in Montgomery over that, and so we'll talk to Barry about that. We'll slide out for now. We'll come back in just a minute. It's Alabama Politics This Week. We're back in a moment.